Okay, this is Brandon from OutieGuide. Um, on our last episode, episode 10, at the 43-minute mark, we started talking about a tip and a strategy that we wanted to share with everybody. And it's one that I shared. It's one that I fish with, and you can see that whiteboard that I wrote there up at the top. It says nymphing with 2 flies. So once again, this is at the 43-minute mark. We talk about it. Matt and Nick kind of joke with me. Anyway, I thought it would be relevant, and we'll post this up on the website and on our Facebook page. This diagram, but I also thought it would be worth it to make a real quick YouTube video to do a little bit further instruction on what this is going to look like in terms of the diagram. So, real quickly, you can see here that I have my fly line up here, and this is you have to utilize knots in this one. So you're kind of creating like a hand-tied leader, if you will, with you're using your tippet material. So I've drawn this out here, what it's supposed to look like. This is just your fly line, your floating line. And I put green because a lot of them are green, a lot of them are yellow. I've seen some pink, all kinds of various colors. So you have your fly line coming there, and then this is your leader. Doesn't matter what size it is, 3x, 4x, 2x. I guess my standard is on that on a leader is I usually go with a 4x. But you could do the tapered leader. It doesn't matter. It's just all up to your preference. It all depends on the type of your fishing. But for specifically what I've got drawn up here, this is what I use and what a lot of the people that I fly fish with and I instruct them. This is how I instruct them what to do. And this is nymphing with 2 flies. And so I have my leader here. It's 7 feet long, and then at that 7-foot mark, you're going to cut off whatever is there, and you're going to tie on a triple surgeon knot, and I have triple surgeon written up there. Now, if you remember on a triple surgeon knot, you'll do the loop, and then you tie it in. You loop it in 3 times. If you don't know how to do triple surgeon knot, I'm not going to explain that here. You need to go to YouTube and search for a triple surgeon knot. Some people do double. I like the triple surgeon. Anyway, you're going to loop it in there 3 times, and then usually you bite off or you cut off the 2 tag ends. On this one, you're not going to, right? So this is one piece here, and this is the fly line. You're going to tie your triple surgeon, and you're going to leave about 6-7 inches on that tag end going up, and then you're going to want about 12 to 14 inches going down. And you're not going to clip it off there. And you're not going to clip off that end. You're going to clip the fly line, but your leader line, but not your tippet. You're going to leave 6 to 7 inches going up because we're going to tie on a fly there. But the way that I like to do is I tie my knots first in my tippet, and then I tie on the flies later. So I'll have 6 to 7 inches here. I'm dropping down 12 to 14 inches there. At this point here, at the end of this tippet, which I usually go 6x or 7x. Unless I'm getting into some big fish and I'm breaking off, I'll dial it back down to a 5x, but I almost exclusively fish with 6 or a 7x tippet. So at the end of that one, you're going to tie on another triple surgeon knot. Same principle, 6 to 7 inches. Don't bite that tag end off. You can bite off this tag end, right? Because it'll probably only be like 3 or 4 inches. Bite that off, right? And you're going to have 10 to 14 inches drawn down there. At this point, you're going to tie in an overhand knot, and I got it written up there. And then you don't put on split shot yet, because I like to see what weight I'm going to do on these flies to see how far I can get down on the bottom of the river, right? So going back up here, the methodology behind why I do this, I'll explain. And I don't do this all the time, but 80% of the time, this is kind of how I set it up. And I will have that top fly, I will tie on 6 to 7 inches. Remember there, this is where I put my attractor pattern. I want their attention. I'll do beads. I'll do rubber legs. I'll do usually a bigger fly, but it doesn't necessarily have to. I just see here, I got some of the patterns that I commonly use there at the top. I put a rubber legs. I like to use the bitch creek, a bead head, rubber leg, bitch creek on that top one. I love emerger patterns. Big, small, doesn't matter. Flash, some of that Darlon flash material you get with like the deep sparkle pupa caddis, even a diving caddis I put it on the top there. Emerger patterns are good. Hare's ear, bead head, flashback hare's ears are good. I've even used rubber leg hare's ear on here a couple of times. I love to use a stonefly on that top one. And then I also like to use a San Juan worm on that top one. Once again, on that top fly, I just want their attention. I just want to attract their attention. But my main purpose here is that this is my target fly, and that's the one that's going to go below that 12 to 14 inches, depending on the depth of the river. And I mean, if I'm fishing in 7 to 8 inches of water, and yes, I will fish in 7 inches, 6 inches of water, I will dial this down. I will shorten this down to about 7 inches, as long as this fly here, it doesn't dangle and tangle with this one, that knot right there. You should be okay. You can mess with it though. You can flirt with it, see what you want to do. Anyway, my target patterns, what I'd like to do is, I'm talking specifically in the West. I'm going to give you what I use for the Snake River. Once again, attention, my attractor pattern up top, and then this is my target pattern. This is really good for like micro patterns, some of your really, really small midges, your WD-40s, some of those really, really small flies. That's what I like to use. And then one of my deadly combos that I use on the Snake River is I like to go with the rubber legs, and then I like to go with the Prince Nymph. There's different variations of a Prince Nymph. I'm not going to tell you my secret fly pattern because it's deadly. If I don't catch at least 30, 40 fish in a day on the Henry's Fork or the South Fork, the Snake, if I don't catch 30, 40 fish a day on this pattern, then it's a bad day. That's just kind of how I view it. There's people that fish with the same pattern. They say the same thing. So I do fish with a variation of a Prince Nymph. And then also another deadly combo that I use on a target fly on the Snake is I love the bead head flashback, either a chartreuse or a red copper john. Regular copper johns work well, they work just as good. But I found that the chartreuse patterns work really, really good on the, especially on the Henry's Fork. And then you can never go wrong with either a normal pheasant tail or a flashback pheasant tail or a bead head flashback pheasant tail. Those always do good. So once you find out what weight you're going to do, because sometimes, for example, an emerger, there's no weight on that one. However, a bead head rubber leg pattern, there's a lot of weight on there. So that's going to help determine how much weight you're going to put on, if you even need to add weight on the bottom. I usually like to do at least one small split shot just to balance out the way that my flies are going to naturally drift down the water column. So here I put an overhand knot in the very bottom. The reason why I do it is because those split shots, they're gonna be bouncing along the bottom. They're gonna be hitting rocks, and sometimes they're gonna get snagged on the bottom. If you have a small overhand knot, you just give a slight little tug, and those split shots will usually slide off of there. But if it's not like wedged and jammed into a rock or a stick or something, sometimes you can pop the whole rig and you're okay. But I like the overhand knot because I don't care if I lose a split shot sinker. I don't care. I'm out like 3 cents. If you lose a fly, I might be out a little bit more. So that's kind of why I do that method. Once again, split shot, you're looking for weight to get your flies to the bottom, to get them down there quick. And then one side note on this, with casting, right? You're not going to do your normal over the head like you see on A River Runs Through It, or like you see on these fancy YouTube videos or in the magazines, right? You're not going to cast that way. You're going to want to cast with either an overhaul cast, which you can Google. Orvis does a great guide on overhaul casting. I forget the gentleman's name, but he is phenomenal at teaching people how to cast. I've learned some stuff from him on some casting techniques. Anyway, overall cast, or what I like to call is a load cast. That's when the river's running. If you're standing here and you're thinking the river's running if the river stream's going from right to left, you're going to point your rod tip down to the left, your left, because the stream's flowing that way. And you're going to lift your rod up barely, and your flies are going to be all downstream. And all you're going to do is you're going to lift your fly up until it goes to either the indicator or that first fly, and you're just going to just load it and throw it right over your hand, right to where your area you're trying to fish to, or above it actually. So you're not going to do normal casting. Anyway, this is what I like to do for nymphing with 2 flies. If you have any questions, feel free. You can email us at OutieGuide@gmail.com. I'm going to post this on Facebook and the YouTube. You can leave some comments, questions. We're here to help you. We just want you to have a good time, learn new things about fishing and hunting. Anyway, this is Brandon signing off for OutieGuide.